Hello, Tito.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I am doing well.
Well, thank you for joining me today. I'm super excited to chat with you. So, tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, where you run your business, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so I grew up in New Hampshire. Um,
New Hampshire.
yeah, New Hampshire. I grew up broke, so I knew that I couldn't go to college because my parents weren't paying for it. So I joined the Air Force, and it was also I could go to college, but also I'm fairly patriotic. So um, yeah, did that for a while, and I don't know. I guess eventually I got tired of the bureaucracy and Uncle Sam and all that stuff, and I ended up in North Carolina where I started a business,
Mm-hmm.
and it was not real estate. But then I met my wife. She brought me to Tennessee because she was getting her PhD. Well, after we got married, she decided to get her PhD. And UT is where we ended up. So yeah. I guess after she got that, she was recruited by Eastman Chemical.
Mm-hmm.
So we got relocated to the Tri Cities, which is where we are. I live in Johnson City, and yeah. So I had done a number of real estate transactions for us, starting in 2006 with my first triplex, but I never actually saw. I feel kind of weird saying this. I never actually saw any value in real estate agents
Yeah.
because they would just open doors and send me forms, and that's kind of all I ever got. And so when she got recruited or hired, they did a relocation package for us, and I didn't really understand exactly how the relocation stuff worked because why would I, right? Not being an agent. um they were like, oh, and we have a real estate agent for you, so they're going to help you find a house. And I was like, okay, cool, whatever. Now the listing side was amazing because they paid our taxes, they paid our commissions, they paid everything. It was great. But the buyer side is just a lead generation thing, right, as we all know now. Um and we got a terrible real estate agent. She was
Oh,
so bad. I won't say any names.
yeah. Let's keep that out of the mix.
Yeah. But we tried buying a house. She could not negotiate through repairs. We tried buying another house. Um, it was listed as having 1.5 acres. It Once we got under contract and we started moving forward, we found out that it did not have 1.5 acres. It actually had 0.45 acres, and but she just didn't do any like due diligence for us or any checking or anything like that. In fact, she tried to tell us, she's like, yeah, I can see 1.5 acres here. We're like, oh, okay, well, I don't know what an acre is. So yeah, it was so bad though. I can laugh about it now, but
Yeah. At
it
the
was
time, it was quite
2020.
frustrating.
Yeah, and during the beginning of the pandemic, like people started freaking out anyway. And then we had all this stress from our second house deal not going through, and we knew we were moving, but we didn't want to be homeless. Um, so yeah, it was terrible, to be honest with you. It was, I mean, it was a really big deal for my wife and I, and so we stopped looking. We were like, you know what? We'll just get an apartment. It'll be whatever, and we'll just deal with it. And maybe someday we'll buy a house. And so it took us a good 6 months to even consider looking to buy a house again. And part of the wait was because we were looking forward to um, firing that agent because we had that contract.
Yeah.
And then so yeah, we ended up finding another agent who was the opposite. He was actually wonderful. And after we found our house and closed on it and purchased it and all that, my wife was like, "Well, hey, have you put any thought into what you're gonna do since we're relocating here?"
Maybe
I
you
was
should get a
like,
job.
yeah, I was like, well, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted because I've done so many different things. Um, but I really wanted to do something where people were not pointing guns at me because my last job was being a process server, and in Tennessee, people don't like you knocking on their door with bad news.
Yeah, I can see
So,
that.
and they love pointing guns at you if you knock on their door with bad news.
Mhm.
Um, so so anyway, she was like, "Well, I think that you could do this. You could do it with this guy. His name's Bill. I will say his name. He's legitimately the reason that I decided to go ahead and get into it. But but yeah, she's like, he was such a blessing. Like, and it was so much better, just so much different than the last lady. And she's like, you know, you could really be a blessing to people." And I'm like, well, I might not make any money though, because everybody I know is a real estate agent. There's like 2,000 agents in the Tri Cities area. And she's like, well, who cares? You know, I'm like, yeah, okay, but what's the point? Like, I don't want to spin my wheels. She's like, if you're in it for the long run and you're doing it because you want to help people, I don't think that you're going to end up in a bad situation. I do think you're going to do pretty well. And if not, as long as you give it 100%, I'll be making enough money as a data scientist where it'll be okay anyway. We're not going to end up, you know, we're not going to be homeless. We're not going to
Right.
whatever. And so, so that's, you know, that's kind of it. I went for it, and
So you got your license, and what year was that?
that was in 2021.
Okay, so you've only been in real estate for 3 years.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
so
guess
I
so.
noticed today your self-organized team's in the top 10 for the whole state.
Okay. Well, that's
You may not have
exciting.
known that, but that's gonna come out in the newsletter tomorrow.
All right. Well, cool.
Yeah.
Um,
So is eXp the only brokerage that you've been at?
no, I started with another brokerage.
Mhm.
I when I came to the Tri Cities, I literally knew four people, and um, yeah, I decided that since I was talking to them, I would ask them if they knew any agents, so that way, because I kind of wanted to, you know, check out the brokerages, and I had done my own research too. And actually, believe it or not, I was very close to joining EXP off the like initially, but you know, you get these naysayers online are like, oh, if you're a newer agent, it's not going to be good for you because you won't have the support and this and
Blah, blah,
that.
blah,
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 blah.
blah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's the only thing that held me up from it. Well, all four of those individuals that I know or knew, I mean, I still know them, but I know more than four now.
Yeah.
Um, they all told me, they were like, oh, we know this guy with this other brokerage, and he's like mid-level management. He seems to be doing pretty well. So maybe you want to join his team. I was like, okay, well, I met with him again, talked terms, what have you. And everything should have been great, really. Except that the deal just kept changing. So when he went golfing for like the third time in 1 month, and I was the only agent that he had boots on the ground besides his transaction manager, um, or coordinator. Like, and then I put a $700,000 house under contract, and then I closed the transaction, and then instead of the 50-50 deal that we had set up, he decided to change it so that he got 70 and I got 30. So I was like, if I'm gonna work this hard for somebody else, I might as well work this hard for myself.
Mhm.
And yeah. So I I talked to another agent who I knew from Knoxville that was pretty successful. And I said, hey, what would you do if this happened to you? And he was like, run. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, where do you think I should run to? He's like, well, I'll send you a video. If this sounds like it's a good fit, then just go right ahead. But,
Mhm.
you know, I was like, and he was with EXP, and I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna need coaching though. Like, I'm new at this. I don't know everything. I know six people now in the Tri Cities, you know. Um, and he's like, yeah, it don't matter. There's houses on every corner. There's houses on every block. The second you get rid of um, that mindset, the limiting mindset where, you know, there's not enough going around or there's too much scarcity, like he's like, you'll be fine. Just go get it. And I was like, all right, well, how much can I pay you for coaching then if I'm gonna go do this on my own? He's like, no worries, just put me as your sponsor, and when you need help, call me, and I'll send you some resources. And we got resources from the people above us too. And I was like,
Mhm.
okay. So here we are.
So here we are.
Here we are.
How long have you been here?
Here, yeah. So I literally did 3 transactions with that first brokerage, and so I've been here since October of 21.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
And Joe, what has your experience been like? Obviously, I guess it's better because you're still here.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. So it's been quite good. I get calls about every other week for every brokerage under the sun, trying to convince me to go over because they're charging less or whatever. And it's just a really simple thing for me to tell them no, because when I do the simple math, I'm like, I make way too much. Like I get way too much business because of our brokerage.
Mm-hmm.
I would lose too much. So you can always like you can only go down on your bottom line so far. And realistically, like our fees are $16,000 a year. That's not that bad. And then when you icon, you get it back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, um, but you can only lower that bottom line so much. You can increase the top line as much as you want. But so just because they want to play semantics or say, oh no, monthly fees because they have a yearly fee or something like that, like
Yeah.
yeah, it just doesn't. I was born at night, but not last night. So um, you know, I
Yeah.
don't.
So how many agents do you have in your self-organized team? Do you know?
That's funny. No, I know. I started the team on accident, actually. I just told somebody, like, I've gotten so much help from basically any eXp agent that I've ever asked for help from. And I was connected from an agent who was in Middle Tennessee. And
Mm-hmm.
she was like, hey, her family is moving out to East Tennessee, and she's like, I have 7 kids. I want you to help me out. And I was like, no problem, call me, I'll help you. She's like, no, 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 no. I need your name on the dotted line so that you're committed, because I will not be able to do everything that's necessary to do good deals for real estate. And I'm like, okay. She's like, what if you just start a team? Because I'm on a team here and I want to be a team there, but like, and I'm like, I would probably be a good person to start a team because I hate teams. Like, not teamwork. The teams that I was on, like in the military or with Homeland Security, were life and death.
Right.
But the revolving door structure of teams, uh, yeah. And the team that I was on, where my commissions were getting poached and stolen, like, no, that's not. So I decided, I'm probably a good person because the team structure should not be one person becomes very successful by standing on the shoulders of other people.
Mm-hmm.
Like it should be my concept was I stole it from a marriage counselor actually. She said, "What if your wife and you?" Yes, I go to marriage counseling. What if your wife and you were both independently wealthy? And I said, "Okay, I like where this is going."
Yeah.
She said, she said, and you didn't need each other for anything, but you wanted each other. And I said, oh, that would be pretty great, So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of what I decided the team was going to be. I want to make agents as independent as they want to be, and I want to help them accomplish their goals, not my goals. And it's the reason we're doing self-organized is because the numbers, like I don't need to make a bunch of money off of other people. We just need to cover the costs. So, um, requiring so much or whatever, like I like the freedom to be able to adjust that stuff.
Right.
But yeah, I didn't answer your question yet. So that one agent, she actually ended up having to leave because her husband got licensed and he went to a different brokerage. But I currently have 2 other agents that are working on, getting their feet wet kind of thing. Where yeah, they both work full time, and it's kind of a difficult transition sometimes to be able to get going and start getting that momentum when you can't put both feet in.
So you're
So
doing a lot of the production yourself then if your team is the top 10, one of the top 10.
I'm getting there. But yeah, it's just getting going now. My 6 month sabbatical when my son was born did not help things at all.
That changes things.
Yeah, I watch him 30 hours a week now.
So let's
So
talk a little bit. So I think it's difficult when agents move to new areas and they don't really know how to rebuild. So since you moved to the area where you only knew 4 people, what did you do to expand your sphere and get to know people and get clients to know, like, and trust you when you were not an insider?
yeah, so I I still feel like I'm not doing enough of this. Just full disclosure, like so it is a thing that is in the works, but my clients, the way that I treat them is I want to be generous with my time and my commitment. And the thing that set that terrible agent apart from what I want to be is my clients don't have any hesitation trusting me. When that agent, would call me at 9:30 at night, as drunk as a skunk, telling me that, I shouldn't have chosen the inspector that I did because he's just a deal killer, like slurred speech and all. Like my clients don't have to worry about that stuff
Yeah.
because even when we're walking through like a house, like I'm like, oh, you might want to ask somebody about this. This is, look at this. You might want to ask a plumber about this. Not that I say this is wrong or that's wrong or this is right or that's right, but
Just check
they,
it. Yeah.
yeah, there's something to be said for triage and open eyes. Um, and the worst thing is like getting into a transaction in a hot seller's market and then it falls apart for whatever reason.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, the trust factor is huge. And then when you get that trust of your clients, I mean, uh, yeah, like most of like I think I can only think of like one or two sets of my clients that I'm not constantly in communication with just because we're friends.
Mhm.
So I like that because and I kind of feel a little weird about that, like that. I'm thinking of one lady right now. She's like, and you don't have to be my friend to be my client, but I just I'm just like, oh, I miss you. Like we hung out like every other day for like 2 months, and now it's just you disappeared.
Yeah,
So
it is difficult because you do get close to those people during those 30 and 45 days. And then when it's over, you're kind of like, eh. So
yeah,
you think I feel like I've earned more friends through this
mhm,
business because I've met people that I've been friends with for a long time now because I sold them a house 6 years ago.
yeah,
Then we've, maintained contact and built a relationship. And I think that's really what it's all about is the relationship part. So did you build your business mostly online? Did you do it organically? Did you join networking groups? What did you do to kind of get yourself out there as a new agent?
yeah. So I just started going after referrals, and that's yeah, and then like my referrals typically generate 3 to 4 referrals for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like this crazy kind of exponential
Effect.
setup, yeah, effect, what have you. And then yeah, I mean, and client referrals are the best because, well, you don't have to pay a referral fee, first of all.
True.
Um, but yeah,
Then
also
it
like
speaks volumes too when one of your clients refer you some of
yeah,
that's the best thing that can happen.
yeah, totally. And then so there's that. I know that having like solid reviews is probably important because I've been told by a number of people like, hey, we it's not like we googled you and found you. We talked to this person who told us that we should go talk to you, and then we looked online too. And your reviews, like when we read through them, there's just kind of a constant theme like that you'll take care of us, and that's that. So those matter a lot, really. And I know it, like if a restaurant has 3 stars, I'm probably not going to go there unless I get a really good recommendation.
Right.
So,
So since you've had experience with different types of agents, I'll say that.
yeah.
What do you feel like is your main attribute that you bring to the table, that makes you different or sets you apart to put you in the upper service category of real estate agents?
Yeah. Well, every single thing I touch, I try to raise the bar on. So there's that. Even if it's just 1%, like there's definitely something to be said for that. Um, when it comes down to, I mean, I'm not a typical like Tennessee agent. And because I know that, and because I know I can't fake being a Tennessee agent, I just own that I'm not. And so I tell people, I'm like, look, I'm not going to blow smoke up your butt. I don't like it when people do that to me.
Mm-hmm. You're
So,
just real. You're just real.
exactly.
You're just
Like,
you.
I'm going to tell you exactly what I think. If you want an agent that is not going to tell you what you need to hear, they're going to tell you what you want to hear. Well, there's 1,999 other agents in my MLS. You should go find one of them because you're going to be mad at me real soon.
So you don't have a problem with weeding out the clients that you want to work with and those that you don't.
At first that was very challenging. But yeah, I'm so glad that I was able to figure that out because I set boundaries, I set limits, I let them know. Like I read the rules, not only the 141 or the agency agreement, but I tell them like, look, everybody has a down day, including me. But if every time I talk to you about real estate, like if you're just like downtrodden and like negative Nancy, this isn't gonna work for you. Like it's not gonna work for me, so it's not gonna work for
Mhm.
you. I want to work with people that want to work with me, and I want you to work with people that want to work with you. So with that, like if you don't want to work with me, no problem. Let's not work together because I don't want you if you don't want me.
Right.
Um,
In the beginning, I think new agents, you just want to show every house and talk to everybody and do every
yeah.
deal. And you just kind of get into the weeds.
Mhm.
And with that, but I think as we mature as agents, as professionals, it becomes more clear what you want to spend your
Yeah.
time on and who you want to spend your time.
I mean, to be honest with you, like, so I don't even know what year it is. 24. I get,
Mm-hmm.
I'm 41. I'm gonna be 42. Yeah, hard to believe for me. Because I don't know. I'm just like, where did my life go? Um, but for such a long time, I have struggled with, because when I got out of the military, I just tried to figure out what I should do, and I got degrees, I did this, I did that, and it was all okay. But none of it really clicked. I it took me 38 years of life to figure out that I should do real estate, even though I knew it back in 2006 when I bought that first triplex. And part of the reason is because whenever I was working somewhere, I would have supervisors that would continuously like point out the things that I wasn't great at and want me to get better at them. So I'm always trying to take what I'm not good at and excel at it. I just wasted so much time and I gained so much frustration because of it. Like if I would have just started focusing on things that I'm
Yeah.
naturally gifted at
Mm-hmm.
and tried to get better at that stuff, I mean, oh my goodness. So that's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter what job somebody's in, I think that that's a real valuable thing to try and understand because you don't need to try and be everything to everybody. You don't need to appease everybody. You don't need to do work for there's all kinds of people. Just go
Find the
find
ones
them.
that you want to work with and
Yeah.
bust your butt to help those people.
But that's challenging too,
It
because
is, because you don't want to turn away money. You don't want to,
right.
lose a deal,
Mhm.
especially when you're just starting out. But I think it happens to everybody eventually. I mean,
Yeah.
when I first started, I would jump in a car with anybody and go anywhere, anytime,
Yeah.
any day,
Yeah.
whatever. And then
Mhm.
you realize, okay, these people are not buying a house.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like paying your dues. You almost every agent almost has to go do it.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is because you need to figure out like what do you even want to do? Because real estate is so broad, like do
And
you
that
want
brings me to the next question. Like,
yeah.
so do you have like a niche that you focus on that you have kind of centered your business around, or do you feel the most um,
Mm,
good at doing?
I wish I had a really good and like specific answer for you on this one. I'm getting close to considering. No, I don't know. I've worked with a number of investors.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes pretty well most of the time. I like it okay. I but there's something to be said like I really find so much gratification in like helping people that were like me that ended up in a really bad housing situation,
Mm-hmm.
um and then coming through for them, like there's just a lot of I don't know, there's just a lot of like appeal to that because I like helping people and I like helping businesses too, but I don't know. I mean, like I'm thinking of one of my first clients. Like I have this client, Ginny, and she moved from with her husband, Ron and Ginny. They moved from Colorado Springs, where she was on oxygen. She's older. Um, they moved here, and she doesn't need oxygen. Like, how
Oh,
awesome is that,
yeah.
right? And so, and now, like that cycle is actually coming around because I helped them buy this barn dominium that they built out different portions of it, and so their daughter who's full grown, who's grown up rather, and husband, they bought it from them and built a loft out and all of this stuff. Well, like we're under contract, on a condo right now, so like that 3 year cycle, I'm like, hey, if I can get the rest of my clients to buy another house every 3 years, we'll be doing okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. For
So,
sure. For sure.
but there's a lot of like that's a lot of good stuff there. Like I I really love the relational aspect of it. I think that's probably why I'm hesitant to nail it down on investors. Yeah.
So kind of what I'm hearing you say is what goes around comes around, and you want to treat people properly and with respect, and be service oriented, and that has come back to serve you well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I really do believe that people deserve to be treated with integrity and with merit and somebody to work hard for them. And because I let them know how hard I'm going to work for them. I mean, when I'm going over the contract with them, I'm like, look, I will do everything short of lie, cheat, or steal for you
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to this. Like, that's it. If you want
Yeah.
me to do one of those things, we're not going to work together anyway. So, but anything short of that, like, hopefully it's smooth. Hopefully everything goes well. But, like, you don't, we don't always have smooth transactions. This week has
Right.
absolutely been a testimony on that one for me.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
yeah,
And I always try to like work all those things out as best I can without
yeah,
bothering them or upsetting anybody. If I can
yeah.
handle it, just handle it and go on. And um, I did take as much stress out of the process as possible.
Totally. That buffer, being an intercessory or a buffer to that stuff, like that's that's where the real value is for sure,
Mhm.
So
Well, I'm glad that you've had both experiences, and now that you've decided to be the latter for your clients.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
certainly.
Me too.
So I know you come in the EXP world quite a bit. So I know one of the, like you said earlier, one of the complaints about EXP is there's no support, blah, blah, blah. Have you ever felt not supported here?
No. I so where I live in Johnson City, it's literally, and I'm not being dramatic at all. Like I could get in my car and in less than 5 minutes I can be at that other brokerage where I started their doors, where
Mm-hmm.
they have a physical office with 170 something agents that maybe 20 of them will show up at any one point in time. And I could go and knock on the broker's door, and it would almost always take me 20 to 30 minutes to be able to ask a question that seemed very important to me because I was unknowledgeable, unskilled, and didn't want to mess things up.
Mm-hmm.
I think my average time, like from EXP world to talk to a broker, or depending on like kind of again triage, like transaction coordination, stuff like that, to answer questions. I think my average time is probably like start to finish, like 6 minutes maybe. And part of that is because every like seems like every other week I go into EXP world, there's something new in there, and I'm like, oh look, a soccer ball I can kick, you know. And then I get distracted. So anyway,
Yeah, no, I know we see you a lot, and we appreciate you coming in and chatting with us. And I just think that needs to be talked about more.
yeah,
Is how our brokers are available and they're there,
yeah,
all day for you to just pop by. And now that the world has changed over to a web-based platform, you can do it on your phone or your laptop or
oh
anything.
yeah.
Just hop in there at any given time, and just it's
Mhm.
so much easier.
It's so impressive. Like and so first of all, people don't understand. I didn't like even when I was in it. Like for the first time, I put the software on my computer and I went into EXP World and I knew what I was getting into, but you don't really get it until you get it.
Mm-hmm.
And so this will be like 20 seconds, but it's funny.
Yep.
So I beam into the welcome area,
Mm-hmm.
and like I hear somebody talking, so I start moving my avatar closer, and the closer you get, the louder it gets.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then I'm just standing there listening to the concierge person or whoever it is at the welcome desk telling some other agent where they need to go get some payroll thing done or whatever. Um, and I'm just standing there like basically eating my popcorn, like wow, like watching this, like being kind of this weird voyeur, like watching them like like have this exchange. And then the guy that needed help, he's like, okay, thanks. And then he like runs off and
Mm-hmm.
goes to wherever he was going. And then the desk worker goes, like, all of a sudden says, hey, Tito, what can I do for you? And at that point in time, when I got called out, it was like, I was like, whoa, this is weird. Like, it's a real person. Like, even though I knew it, I didn't really know it. And I got scared, so I ran away. And it was just so like counterintuitive and awkward and whatever. And then like the next day I go to, like, there's all this training, 50 something hours of training every single week that's live. So I go in to do this training on how to like start a self-service laundromat or something like that. That seemed cool and appealing to me. And I went to click on the thing to zoom in on the screen for the slides, and somehow I messed it up and I pressed the wrong thing because I was day two, didn't
Mm-hmm.
realize how it worked. And my avatar walks up on stage, and then the guy that's presenting, you just hear him go, hi, how you doing? And I realized, but I couldn't stop him for some reason, so I realized it was me, and I'm like,
Oh shoot.
yeah. And then I got scared and I ran away too. So
So that's your typical reaction to interactions in the world: get scared and run away.
apparently, I mean, I'm like, okay, let me hide behind the monitor or something like that. Maybe I can disappear somehow.
Oh, that's
but
funny.
but
That's
yeah, but yeah, it's so powerful now. And I mean, I've gotten referrals because I was walking around EXP, like just exploring, trying to figure out like, oh, when I need to do this, I'll go over here. Oh, when I need to do that, like,
Mhm.
and I just meet somebody, and or see them, and it says some location that seems interesting to me, so I'll say something, and if they respond, well, then all of a sudden it's like now we feel like we're best friends, and we connect on workplace, and next time they see Tennessee, they think of me and they tag me,
Yeah, yeah.
so
That
it's
it is a powerful network.
yeah.
If you're not plugging into the referrals, on the referral group, you're missing out.
Yeah, and also if you seem really desperate in the referral groups, you might be missing out because it's like, oh yeah, I'll do a job in Memphis. It's only going to take me like 8 hours to get there. It'll be okay, like, come on, guys. We can do better. We can do better. We don't need to. We
Funny.
don't need to go everywhere.
Well, I certainly appreciate the time that you've spent with us today. Is there any like words of wisdom that you want to leave for all the new agents or new to different city agents or any category that you kind of want to give a little plug to?
Yeah, I mean, I really do believe that what you put in is what you're going to get out most of the time. Um, there's only four options. Like you can invest, like you can do good things and get good results. You can do good things and then maybe not get good results, which happens to everybody. It's life. But you can do bad things or be lacking or not ambitious or lazy or whatever. And sometimes we get lucky um, and get good results anyway. And sometimes if we're lazy, then we might also get our just desserts kind of thing. So, but it's way more likely, in my opinion, that when you put a lot in, you'll see a lot come out of it. Even when things go wrong, there's always a silver lining.
Mm-hmm.
So
I love what Fonda Hatmaker, she said. She said, I think I'm either losing or learning.
yeah,
I mean, no,
yeah,
it's winning or learning.
winning or learning. Yeah, sure.
Winning or learning. Because if you don't get the deal, you're learning something from that process, and then that's going to help you win the next time.
And totally, like it's everything about this industry. It's just one big math equation. I mean, I am not the math guy, but like legitimately, like if you go to one listing presentation and don't get it, well, that's okay, like, but if you go to a 10, chances are really like way better that you're going to get one of them. Like if you go to 100, way better than get that you're going to get more than one. Like
Right.
it's
It
just
is a numbers game. Yeah.
exactly, so if you need somebody to wake you up every morning and be like, hey Tito, come do some real estate, it's 8 a.m. Like you might just be in the wrong business.
You might be. And it's not for everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
it is not. It is not. I know I think it's looked upon as an easy profession, but
Yeah.
it's not.
Yep. I mean, it's not rocket science either. You just have to but yeah, like if it was, well, I mean,
My lender, we joke, I'll go back and forth, and when things go wrong, he always says, well, if it was easy, everybody would do it.
that's
And
true.
that's kind of like our little running joke. Well, if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Yep.
And it's not easy, but like you said, it's doable. And
Oh
it's
yeah.
just, like you said, what you put in is what you get out. So,
The
which is
coolest thing is
so many.
that it's like one of the coolest things in my opinion is like people are all different. So it keeps it interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I had to be like standing on an assembly line or something like that, like, I don't know, stamping parts or doing something like that, like I would lose my mind.
It is not
So
boring. It is not boring.
exactly.
It's
Yeah,
far from boring.
that's true. That is true.
So,
So
how old is your baby that you keep?
yeah. He is about, let's see, 20 months, and my wife is due in July for number two.
For number two. That's
Yeah.
awesome. My daughter has a 19-month-old and she's doing July for number two.
Oh,
So
there you go.
yeah, it's awesome.
Yep.
It is.
Yeah. It's so he ends up going to closings and things
Mhm.
like that. It is challenging.
Well,
'Cause
kudos to you for spending the time because at the end of the day, real estate is your livelihood, but investing in your kid
yeah.
is everything. So
Yep. But also, I have a lot of flexibility there too. You can't
mhm.
just take 6 months off from any job to spend time, with your newborn and think that you could show up again and people are
Well,
going to
it's
be okay
impressive
with it.
that you keep him so many hours, but you still run your business. And I think that's, when people have other full-time jobs or part-time jobs and they have a hard time getting started in real estate, you've got to burn the midnight oil and you have
Yeah.
to work outside those hours in order to get something going so that you can eventually get out of that job. It's not just going to happen to you
Oh
uh,
yeah.
accidentally.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, so new agents that want to do some work, let me know. We can figure it out. Let's
Awesome.
go cuz I
Okay.
got
I love it. So tell us how to find you. How if anybody wants to find you on Facebook, Instagram, how do they look you up?
yeah, just type in Tito. If you found the vodka, that's not me. If you found the Jackson, that's not me. Um Tito Realtor, Tri-Cities, Johnson City, what have you. TITO. There's not a lot of us out there.
There's not a lot. That is for sure. That is for sure.
So, but
Well,
yeah,
I really appreciate your time today, and I love working with you, and love hearing you when you come in the world. You've got a lot of good ideas and suggestions, and I always appreciate hearing that. So we're glad to have you on our team.
Well, I'm glad to be here, and I appreciate y'all so much. Yeah, I feel I'm always told that I shouldn't feel bad, but like, I don't like making mistakes, but then it happens and I need help or whatever, and then I get help. But yeah, I really appreciate y'all, and yeah, if I didn't feel supported, I wouldn't be here. And yeah,
I
so,
appreciate you very much.
but hopefully we'll see everybody at eXpCon.
Absolutely. Okay, talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Carmen. Bye.
Bye.